Could Ben Tennyson actually survive the Invincible War? Let's set the stage. The Invincible War was insane. You see, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's basically a horde of nearly 20 Supermen coming from various dimensions to destroy Earth as quickly as possible. Also, they have no kryptonite weakness. Yeah, it's about as bad as it sounds, as it claims the lives of thousands, destroying various large cities, killing numerous of Earth's best heroes, and dog-walking their Justice League, leaving humanity in a virtually irreparable state. But what could Ben Tennyson do to survive and or stop this Invincible War? And to make things more interesting, he doesn't have Alien X. So in issue 60 of Invincible, a very vengeful dimension hopper named Angstrom Levy convinced and brought 20 evil variants of Earth's mightiest hero to ravage the place. This created a crazy crossover event that had the likes of Spawn, Tech Jacket, and even Fire Breather fight off their own individual Invincibles, which was incredibly challenging. Even though each Invincible for the most part were weaker than the original variant of Invincible, it still doesn't change the fact that these are basically Kryptonians with King Von's morality. They are blood hungry. But nonetheless, they ravaged the Earth for 3 days straight, and this is where Ben Tennyson comes in. You guys voted for Omniverse Ben Tennyson to take this threat on, so we have 3 things that we want to evaluate for both sides in order to effectively decipher whether Ben can handle this. That is stamina, attack potency, and combat efficiency. Ben's stamina for long-lasting combat varies considering the transformation that he uses, with some being able to traverse the Earth in mere seconds and others barely being able to climb a wall. I hate you, Walker Throat, you're a piece of... A major factor I know a lot of you guys are worrying about though is Ben timing out mid-battle. And I mean, no matter if he has the stamina of David Goggins,
they don't know me, son!
Human form Ben is not. With Omniverse Tennyson having the completed Omnitrix though, his timeouts are mostly from him intentionally reverting to human, or him taking too much damage and being reverted to human form because of fatigue. But let's take a look at some of Ben's greatest feats of stamina. It starts in Secret of the Omnitrix when Ben goes through multiple battles during the journey and on the planet that Azimuth was hiding out on. This includes taking on predatory Floranas, an army of Vilgaxian robots, and Vilgax himself. This was all over the course of maybe 6 to 12 hours. This only scales higher the older he gets and the farther into the series that we go, as we have seen Ben in alien form in a deserted area in the episode Alone Together for what seems to be maybe a day or two. But one of his ultimate feats of stamina that is the most relevant is from the episode Frogs of War, where we get introduced to a very special function in the Omnitrix. And before we even get into talking about this underrated function, let's add some context to this episode. A very similar situation occurs where the planet has been overrun by large numbers of terrifyingly strong invaders, these being the Waybads, mutant Toku stars. These beasts end up ravaging the planet and have also aided in Ben being exiled from Earth. Now Ben has been floating around in deep space for about a month, and in order to get back to Earth, he uses tactics of stealth and cleverness, along with a pivotal feature that this new Omnitrix has, which is the Lifeform Lock mode. This enables Ben to stay in alien transformation for a prolonged period, and when he returned, we can genuinely assume that he was in incursion form for possibly about 3 weeks to an actual month. So it does show that it is a very good move for Ben in order to stay in alien form longer, so that he can stay on his toes in combat for much longer than usual, and he will need all the help he can get. Because even though in those feats of Ben being in active duty on his toes for long periods, it really does pale in comparison to what we have seen Invincible do in the show and in the comics, since in all of these occasions, Ben gets to rest. I'll avoid spoilers and use stuff from this very obvious context. In this very war, where variants of Invincible have been seen taking on heroes in large numbers or just solo fights against people who they are evenly matched with, all for the duration of 3 freaking days. That's 72 hours, 4,320 minutes, and 259,000 seconds. To fight that long with no rest, no water, and no food is inhuman. Shit man, like these guys might just be... And a major thing that I've noticed now that we're talking about Ben's stamina is that he never fights long fights. they are always short. And I know you guys are gonna come for me in the comments saying that Ben's fights are short because he times out. That's simply just not the entire picture, because we can look at each Ben 10K and how they fight their own battles, with the most prolific master control user being classic Ben 10,000. He keeps his fights in the seconds, and we can see that in his debut episode in his fight against Exoskull. Ben simply might not have any stamina to go on like how Invincible can. It might just be that Viltrumite difference. However, the function I mentioned before, the Lifeform Lock mode, might help compensate for Ben's lack of stamina. But it doesn't even matter if he just ends up getting locked in as Molstash or Grey Matter. No, he needs to become an alien that can slay Viltrumites. That is where his attack potency would be greatly important. In order to judge this, we need to know what it takes in order to kill one of these evil marks. Now for the marks that we have seen, we can assume that they have crazy durability. However, the ones that died, one could say that they were just overwhelmed by large numbers of forceful attacks. But there's one battle that we see that shows a superbly effective way of disposing of Viltrumites, and that is a Rexplosion. You get it? Get too soon? Okay. In his own 1v1, Rexplode used everything in his arsenal to take down his own version of Invincible. But when his back was against the wall, he opted to detonate his skeleton, which was lethal for both of them involved. An explosion like what Rex does would give off about 1.5 million psi of force, and easily clocking above 4000 degrees Celsius in heat. This gives Ben at least one alien from every era of his show that can fulfill either of those criterias. If we're talking about immense heat, we can look to Heat Blast from Classic, who is easily hitting crazy high numbers, as the heat released in temperature with his own plasma fueled flames being about 1,000,000 degrees on a good day. Humongosaur, who has also been seen putting out great amounts of force, that is crumbling buildings, sending large complexes flying, and even creating great citywide shockwaves. I can just know that Flax and Mark is just not handling that. And there's another very special alien that comes in from Omniverse that I need to talk about more, but we'll do that once we start talking about combat efficiency. Now of course there are a plethora of aliens that can probably solo a singular Mark Grayson, but what I think should really be talked about is possibly how efficient Ben would be if he got jumped, which is pretty much commonplace in combat today. And hey, it's still an invasion, not a one-on-one tournament. Heat Blast and Humongosaur have been seen to get put under if they are just overpowered by brute force, and even if they can kill one Invincible, getting ganged by 3 or even 6 will definitely be a huge issue for them. And we can't rule this out as impossible, since Mark himself got jumped during a fight with Ragvincible. But there's one alien that has really good abilities in taking on large groups and great durability as well. You guessed it, it's Atomix. He is evidently able to take punches from various versions of Mark, as he has been seen tanking hits from Malgax, who actually sent Ben flying from the surface of Galvan Prime to its moon. And he's an alien that is really good at fighting people who should be above his weight class in destructive power. He has taken on forceful army leveling creatures like Ultimate Humongosaur, who mind you has taken on an army of regular Humongosaurs, who I already stated before should have enough force and power to pummel a singular Invincible variant. And just to give you added context, Atomix was able to take down one of those guys in less than 2 minutes. The thing that makes him so strong and scary though is his nuclear themed powers, which would provide him with long-ranged and close-ranged power that could fry a Mark inside and out. And especially with the way how radiation works, it can completely negate durability. So could Ben Tennyson survive the Invincible War? Most definitely. As long as he plays to his strength and uses his most lethal aliens like Atomix, it shouldn't be an issue for him unless he gets jumped by all 16. Also, thank you for watching, and muchas gracias to our amazing patrons. You guys help make these videos possible.